There's a legend round here. A killer buried, but not dead. A curse on Crystal Lake. A death curse. Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived. Some have even tried to stop him. No one can.
Jason's alive. He's even more powerful now. Jason belongs in hell. I'm gonna see he gets there. Jason, come on! Come and get me! It's me you won't remember!
People forget. He's down there, waiting.
Happy Friday the 13th, boss. Woo! What's going on?
Oh,
dude?
God.
We go all out for this, boys. We go all out. It's Friday, January the 13th, 2023. 2023. How's everybody doing?
I'm lovely. How y'all?
Doing good. We already got over 80 people checking it out already, boys, just for the intro. Those
That's a
intros-
pretty badass intro, yeah.
I was digging it a lot. I really was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to sacrifice monetization on these Friday the 13th videos just because, you know, I mean, it's classic. This music and all that. So
I was wondering about that as it was playing. I was like, "There's no."
Well, as long as we don't get a copyright strike, which I already check it and everything, we're all good, and we're good with that. So, how are you boys doing tonight? Have you done anything special this Friday the 13th yet?
I worked all day, so I just got home, ate,
Same.
showered, here. That's me.
Yeah, that's
What did you
pretty
do?
much it.
Anything?
No, I worked and I took a big dump a while ago, and
It's always good.
I've got Friday the 13th Part 8 playing on the computer up here. So I'm kind of getting myself in the mood a little bit. It's the opening scene where they're kind of making out on the boat, and you can see that little boobage. It actually is just right now. I saw it. Yeah. Good memories, though, boys. And tonight, it's going to be fun because this is the second of 3 rankings. This is Uncle Bill's ranking, which I don't think you've ever ranked the Friday the 13th before. A lot of people on YouTube have ranked multiple times. Same series multiple times. It's the first, even though we've been doing this damn show for damn near 20 years at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That's never happened before. I mean, I think that we kind of do that, like offhandedly, but never anything concrete like this. So I guess the goal is eventually that we all rank the movies and like kind of shit on each other's rankings. That's the goal, right?
Yeah, you guys already did that for me last time. So if you guys didn't check that one out, just go back a little while. When was that? Was that like a year ago, you think? I think it might have been like February, maybe.
I think it was May. It was May the 13th.
Oh, it was May
13th last year. So the cool thing is there's actually 2 Friday the 13th in 2023. The next one is going to be freaking huge. It's going to be huge because it's in October, guys. October the 3rd, Friday, October the 13th. That just sounds like a killer. I think we should we should go ahead and put this show up, like put the page up and start hyping it now.
Already,
yeah.
Is that going to be your list, the big one, the big show?
I guess ranking. If we're going to do rankings, and
that's how he planned it out.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, we'll let him do this list. I'll do it in October.
I'm going to do the October one.
Yeah.
But
I told you, Garrett. I told you he's always he takes the fame, the infamy, the screeners, all of it.
Well, the screeners are few and far between anymore.
That's true.
But, it's going to be a fun time tonight. We appreciate everybody coming out. A lot of stuff you guys could be doing. You could be watching the movies yourselves and enjoying, or you could be getting drunk or eating CBD gummies like old Curly Jaws. I'm sure he's doing that too.
He's probably on another dimension right now.
And we appreciate the $2 super chat, old Curly. And he was saying Part 8 was his favorite. So I kind of dig Part 8 a lot as well. So we kind of agree there. But Death Metal Elitist Movie Junkie John Suspirian Knight the Keggy. Bradley Taylor, Wet Movie 1 Purry. Thompson Tom, Putrid Gore. And everybody else, 106 people already in here. It's going to be a fun show, guys. I think people are all amped up. They love, even though we've talked about Friday the 13th movies, Garrett, I don't know if you realize this, the very first Friday the 13th special that we ever did, the date of that, I remember it. Full circle, boys. It's come full circle.
What, the one that you and I did?
No, the very first one Dead Pit ever did.
Oh, I have no idea.
Just to give you an idea on how long ago it was, okay? Friday, January the 13th, 2006 was the very first Friday the 13th. Spectacular, which you can still go get on Patreon. We had interviews on there.
Did we have the Paul Crack interview? Is that the one with that?
Paul Crack, and Fredini and Betsy Palmer.
That's sick. Wow. Oh, you know what? I do kind of remember that. Like they were like guests, right? Like they'd like a spot or something.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
So today is what would it be, the 17th anniversary of that day?
Wow.
What in the world,
That's
man?
killer.
We're old.
You guys have been around, man.
That's just ridiculous to even think about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we're happy everybody is joining us tonight and everything. It's going to be a fun show, guys. I mean, even though we've talked about these movies for years and years and years and years and years, maybe Garrett not as much as us, but still, I'm sure we've all discussed these movies a bunch. This is my favorite franchise in horror. I don't think I don't think anybody could deny that. I mean, well, I don't know how you guys think, but as far as like an overall franchise, like the Friday the 13th movies are pretty hard to beat, top to bottom.
They are. It's my favorite franchise. I think I said that in my ranking. It's just they're as much as they're similar, they're just consistent to me. Like there's none that like when I made this list before, I thought a lot of it was pretty challenging, especially between I think 1 through 8. Like any of those could have really, been anywhere in a lot of the different rankings that we do. And I just feel like it's consistent throughout. They're entertaining. You kind of know what you're going to get. They always have kind of unique characters. You can remember as much as they're so unique or as much as they're so similar, you remember which one is which very easily. And I feel like there's not other franchises that kind of are that consistent across the board.
Yeah, I think if you compare like the Friday the 13th franchise to like the Halloween franchise, Nightmare on Elm Street, like Texas Chainsaw, there's really no comparison. Like they're by far have the most, decent movies of any of those franchises. Like once you get into like, especially some of the later movies of those other ones, like it gets real bad.
An interesting concept I was just thinking of. So kind of the height of the Friday the 13th franchise is those Paramount 8. That's what we always call them, where they've made them pretty much back to back every year of the 80s. What do you think would have happened had they continued and made another one in 1990? Do you think it would be right there? It would be the Paramount 9. It would be the same, same formula and everything. Independent filmmakers making their movies in Canada or wherever the hell they're making them at. How do you think that would have went?
I think so. I think it would have. I don't know, how did Jason Takes Manhattan do in the box office? Because to me, as a kid of that age, I remember that commercial and stuff being on a lot. Like I remember seeing a lot of hype for that movie, being a little kid and knowing that I was not going to be able to go see it. And I just remember it being like so cool to me, like all the different spots that they were doing on TV. And I just don't know how it did in the theater overall, but it seemed like it was pretty up there as far as the backing behind it at the time.
Yeah, it had a lot of hype because I remember the same thing. Like I remember it coming out and everybody was like super hyped that it was, in New York and yada, yada, yada and all that stuff. And I don't know how it did at the box office, come to think of it.
Now, was that the time when Jason showed up on like Arsenio as a guest? Was it around that?
Yeah,
movie?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was Part 8.
So, I mean, that alone has already given you a lot of publicity that Jason showed up as a guest on Arsenio Hall. It just shows like how cool things were back then.
I think they all made decent money, but like it was on a decline, so it wasn't as profitable as the one before. And I don't know what happened shortly after that. I guess New Line bought the rights to the franchise, or at least to Jason, because they never did use Friday the 13th after that. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting history there. And, it's been a long time since we've been given a new Friday the 13th movie, guys. It's been, 13, 14 years at this
2009. Yeah.
So,
or wait. Yeah, 2009.
I think it was 2000. Yeah, you're right. So,
we'll get into that later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of them because this is a show where Uncle Bill ranks them from, I guess, we're going to do worst to best. I think that's how we did it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, though, just to give you an idea, Friday Part 8 had a budget of $5 million and it made $14 million. So I don't know how that is like in relationship to the others, but I mean, it basically tripled its profit. Those movies were still, making quite a bit of money at that time.
And that was the first one that I got to see in the theaters. as a kid. I was like 9 years old when that came out.
Me too. Yeah. But okay, are you ready? Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
So number 12 out of a possible 12 films here.
Is there 12 or is there 13? No, there is 12.
There's 12, yeah, if you include Freddy versus Jason, and I did. So this is my least favorite, and I thought a lot about this, by the way, and like this list is not like what I consider.
Have you been drinking heavily, Uncle Bill?
No, why?
Alyssa Milano says you have.
Uncle Bill's been drinking heavily. Oh, yeah, I wish I had been, but no, I haven't been drinking anything except Coke.
He's doing Coke.
So I had a lot of Coke tonight.
Coca-Cola Classic.
But with this list, I was like, I'm not going to try to like pick out like which ones are the best movies or whatever shit like that. I'm going to try to look at it like which ones would I watch now? Because having seen these movies a million times at this point, that's the only way I can judge them. Like which ones would I most likely watch now, and which ones would I least likely watch? So the one that I would least likely watch at this point in time, and number 12 on this list, fucking Jason X.
So that's your least favorite.
That's my least favorite. And I'll tell you why. This is the cheapest looking, even if I take into consideration Part 7, the cheapest looking of all the Friday the 13th films. I hate the way this movie looks. It looks like a Lionsgate movie or something like that from that time period, and I can just never watch it and get into it at all, because every time I start to watch it, I'm like, this is like a sci-fi original, stylish kind of like movie. There's no blood in it, really. I mean, there's a couple of decent kills, but other than the Uber Jason, which I will give you, is actually a pretty cool look. I hate this movie. I hate all the characters in this movie. I hate the way it looks. I just despise Jason X. I'm sorry for anybody that likes Jason
When's
X.
the last time that you watched it, just out of curiosity?
It was on television at some point, probably like a year or so ago. And that was probably the last time that I watched it. But I know for a fact that just thinking back on these movies, and I've seen them all, you know, probably over 10 times each, this is my least favorite at this point. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, again, I kind of agree if we're going that route. I'm actually scrolling down because I don't remember what my list was last time we did it. I'm just curious.
Yeah, we need to compare that. I'm curious
where
too.
I had that, because you know, when you really think about the whole franchise, I don't know what else you'd put at the bottom though. You know what I mean? Like I think I had to have put Jason X there. I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, there's a couple that these last three I could have like interchangeably kind of put at the bottom, but.
And again, guys, I think you got to realize too, is that it's not necessarily saying that it's like god awful, but like when you do a ranking, something's going to go last, right? So,
yeah,
you know, and I think that's where people sometimes, you know, when we do shows or we give lists, they think that you is the absolutely, you know, biggest piece of crap ever, but it may not be the case. You just needed to, you know, you needed to put something somewhere.
I was attempting to do a poll of which film was everybody's favorite in the chat, but you can only pick like 4 or 5 different options. So,
oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have 12 options, but anyway, people can let us know in the chat too. So, Jason X, though, man, like I remember being crazy hyped for it when it came out, because a lot of people don't remember that was a movie that was delayed. It was sitting on a shelf for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Wasn't it?
Did we see this movie together?
I think so. I remember
think we
seeing it
did.
in the theater.
Yeah.
And I remember liking it in the theater. That's the weird thing. Like, I think Friday the 13th movies, at least back then, if you had a good crowd, even the ones that are not that great would seem like they were amazing. And there was some good kills in
That's true.
Jason X. I'll give them that. I thought
because this next one I'm getting ready to bring up definitely benefited from like a theater experience. And when you go back and watch it, you're just like, God bless, man. Like it's a tough like watch when you're actually like focusing on what's going on and concentrating on the plot and everything. And there's not like people screaming and, you know, kind of hollering around you to make it more enjoyable. But somebody brought up the frozen face kill. That's like probably one of the only good kills in it. I can't get past the whole look of the movie, like just how cheap it looks. And that just, and not only that too, but just like all of those characters, the space crew or whatever, are some of the worst, like most generic characters ever. And that's saying a lot if you look back at all the generic characters in Friday the 13th.
Uber Jason, though, I thought was a cool look. I thought that they did a good job with that. But yeah, I mean, the look of Jason X as a film, it totally looks like a made for sci-fi original movie. It looks very cheap. I know it was Canadian as well. Like, I guess back in the day, maybe still to this day, it must have been cheaper than hell to make movies in Canada.
Yeah, that's why Romero was doing everything up there, and a lot of directors that went up there and were doing all their films.
Yeah,
I think now, like, isn't it like Georgia that way now? That's why they all, like, everybody does.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Georgia, and I think in Alabama the same way. It seems like there's a lot of stuff in Alabama too.
No, you don't want to go down to Alabama. That's a bad idea. Garrett, what are you doing? You look like really concerned, or you're still trying to find that list.
I'm going back to try to find that list. And I know what I put. I put my last one was Freddy vs. Jason.
All right, so you ready for number 11? Oh,
let's do it.
Imagine it.
Yeah.
Listen, this movie was huge, like hit in in terms of people just marking out and going crazy in the theater over this movie. The plot of this movie makes absolutely no damn sense. It's got like 12 different plots to it, really. Not only that, but it has one of the worst interactions in any like horror film ever, which is the chick, was it Kelly Rowland?
Yeah. Destiny's Child.
God almighty. That scene is brutal to watch now. I thought it was bad then, but it's like, try to watch it now. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, it's the concept is great, but the execution was a little bit poor, I think.
Well, the problem with this movie is that nobody could figure out how to do it. Like, there were so many different versions and drafts of it written. And finally, I think they just got to the point where they're like, you know, it's like a Frankenstein's kind of amalgamation of a bunch of different ideas, and just like we have to make some money on it, so just throw it out there. And I'm sure there's 100 different ways they could have done this that would have been better. I've never
I remember though distinctly, like Carter mentions here, she called Freddie a slur. How dare she? Even for back then, the fact that she was this huge, and I'm surprised not that many people made the fuss about it, because this was when Destiny's Child was still a thing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that was the whole draw of it, really. That
and nothing was really said then at all. And really looking back at it, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's wild. I think why I put this at my last one was because I just don't like this Jason, this version of Jason at all. Like, I just think he was very stiff, just kind of a Frankenstein type monster. Like, I think that's why I put that there. Just to me, Jason didn't do much of anything memorable in this movie at all. I mean, it was a Freddy movie. Jason had that one scene when he was on fire, but like, I mean, he didn't really do anything. He just kind of walked, you know.
You know what that reminded me of, by the way, that scene where he's on fire? You know the scene in The Princess Bride where they set Andre the Giant on fire and just kind of like push him forward? That's what there.
He was just kind of walking like
it's kind of big Frankenstein son of a bitch in there. Yeah.
So
Twitter didn't exist in 2003, so Wes Ray has a point. That's probably what it was.
That's true.
All
too.
this crazy shit starts on Twitter or somewhere on social media, on Tout.
Also, and everybody's brought this up, but it kind of bears repeating too. What in the hell made them think that the big thing that Freddy should do is make Jason drown because he's afraid of water, when he's like, In every other movie, he walks directly into the water and like just kills people, pulls them underwater. Like,
Yeah, there was Slug Dick Jason from Part 8.
Yeah,
I mean, they don't. They've been doing that for years, though. They just thought those movies don't exist in this world.
It was just one of the dumbest kind of plot lines ever. But and he turns it back into a little kid, kind of like Part 8.
I thought the look of Freddy was terrible in this too. I mean, I know we're just talking about Jason mainly, but it was the last portrayal of Freddy Krueger from Robert Englund, and for the time period, it should. I think it should have looked way better.
Wait, I
gotta
put this up.
He looked like Robert Gibson.
Rock and roll, daddy.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's funny.
But yeah, Freddy vs. I'm pretty sure everybody's seen Freddy vs. Jason because it made like $300 million or something crazy when it came out.
Yeah, it made a lot of money, but I think like hardcore fans, nobody really champions that movie. Have you guys noticed that?
I mean, you really shouldn't.
Jason X has its fan base though, but Freddy vs. Jason not so much.
So number 10. I would have put this at the bottom of my list probably a couple years ago, but after seeing it a couple more times, it sucks, but it doesn't suck as much as those other two. This is the remake, Friday the 13th, 2009 version. I'm sorry, but fucking Derek Mears running around with an IGA bag on his head for the first time.
Like, what the hell?
20 minutes of it just doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, he got some frozen chicken before he.
Why are you gonna be like that, Derek Mears? I thought he did a fantastic job as Jason.
He did, but that is so stupid. Like whatever they had him in, it literally looks like a shopping bag over his head for like the first little while, and then he comes out and he kind of looks like gorked out Andrew from fucking Hell Night. When they actually take the bag off his head, I don't know, man.
Did they have some sort of subplot in this too, where Jason was like growing marijuana or something? Like it's been a while.
Yes, and that always confused me too. Like the kids at the beginning of the movie were going in there and they were searching for some sort of marijuana patch. That was what the beginning of the movie was.
Mm-hmm.
That's how strength.
And then he like sets up traps for him and through the marijuana, like almost like somebody around here. So I don't know. But the biggest problem with this movie to me was the dialogue and just the script was freaking. And actually, for 2009, this had like a horrible cast of like woke kind of nonsense in it, and it was just awful.
One great thing that you get out of the Friday the 13th remake, though, is you get to see Willa Ford bear it all.
I remember she was kind of popular there for like a year, like 1 year. She was in a bunch of stuff, and then I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah, she's probably in a trailer park somewhere at this point. Just talking about the good old days.
But yeah, also in this, Jason has like a intricate tunnel system, like G.I. Joe, that tunnel rat guy.
That's the only thing I didn't like about that, I think, is like that whole storyline that wasn't explained really. Like I didn't like that. Like I actually would have rather preferred. Like I actually thought when they came out with that movie, because Rob Zombie's Halloween did so well that I think that was like maybe they'll do like young Jason in the woods, like killing animals and making traps as a little kid to trap the animals, and then you see him grow up and he kind of uses the same format for like catching people or whatever's in the woods there. And I thought that's where they were going to go with this, and they didn't. And I was kind of a little bit bummed about that because it just kind of happened. You don't really have any explanation of why.
Another thing that's very
and shit.
Very interesting, because we said this was released in February of 2009, coming up on what is it? How long ago was that? Like 15 years ago at this point?
What the hell?
14, 15
14, yeah.
$19 million budget. It made $92.7 million. And they didn't immediately try to make a sequel. What the hell? What's up with that?
What's up with that? That's the Derek Mears like curse kind of. Like I feel so bad for that dude because I feel like I've met him and he's like seems like the nicest,
He is,
guy. Like, he's so personable. He's so, thankful. And, he was so excited about this role because I had met him right before this came out. And I even said to him, like, hey, this is my wife and I's favorite franchise. Oh, no, she's a Nightmare Girl. I said, all right, this is, it's my favorite franchise, blah, blah. I said, I'm looking forward to see what you do. And he had like the picture of him kind of coming out of the water that I got signed. And I just thought he looked really good as Jason. He's like, I'm excited, man. He's like, it's like a dream of mine to be part of this new franchise. And like in his head, he thought like he was golden for a while,
He should have
I think
been.
everybody else did too. And then it was gone. And then that was out. And then all of a sudden he was Swamp Thing. And that thing was cut like not even like a full season in. And I'm like, man, like this poor guy can't catch a break. He's getting these huge roles. Like, I am Swamp Thing in this new series. Like, he probably thought he was going to be in it for seasons, right? So I just kind of feel bad for the dude because I feel like he does a great job. He's got a great look, and he always ends up things just kind of don't go his way.
The lead in this, though, I guess the female in this, Danielle Panabaker, is another one that's completely fell off the face of the earth. Last movie she was in was 8 years ago at this point. And,
speaking of which, I don't know, this just brought that back to my mind. I read an article a couple of days ago where Rooney Mara was talking about that she almost quit acting after she did the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Can't blame her. Can't blame her there.
I just thought that was so killer. She was just like, God, that movie just killed me. I was like, yeah, it killed us too, Rooney. Damn it. Being that shit.
Now let me ask you this, speaking of her. Are you guys a fan of Dragon Tattoo that she was in?
Yeah,
I've never seen
I
that
loved
movie.
that movie.
Never
I thought that was
seen
a fantastic remake of that old movie, and she plays the lead, and man, it's so good. And I never really hear anybody talk about that anymore. And I'm like thinking to myself, it really still holds up. Very, very effective, that version. Like, I know a lot of people always think about the original, which is great, but that remake was pretty top notch, I think.
I watched it one time and I remember really liking it, but I didn't even realize it was the same girl that was in the Elm Street remake a couple of years earlier.
There's a lot of really good people in that remake. It's just as a whole, that movie was god awful.
Stupendous.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, we're getting up there, guys. Over 160 people checking us out right now.
Hey,
live.
thank you, everybody.
Perfect opportunity to thumbs up the video, fondle it, super kick it. Yeah, snap that leg like Shawn Michaels did.
Kick Marty Jannetty through a window.
That's how Shawn ended up getting
nightmares.
Injured. He injured himself smacking the shit out of his leg.
So now I think since there's like 160 people in here, we should kick it up a notch with this next pick. Because at number 9...
You pussy! How dare you?
I don't give a damn. I know that everybody in here is going to freak out, but freak out. Yeah. Uh-huh. I know you're my friend.
You've already pissed off Rio, man. Or Rio.
You said you loved Elizabeth, but Elizabeth.
Man, Friday the 13th, Part 6. I hate this movie. Like, people always go on and on about this movie, about how it's, it was a return to form, and they love the, the Universal monster feel of it, and the director.
Run Vanderhoff off, man.
He's gone. It's just, to me, it's like, it's boring. I'm sorry, like, it just doesn't have the same appeal. Like, to me, a Friday the 13th movie should be an exploitation style movie.
Boring. And this thing was like MTV, Jason.
To make it to make it like, a stylized kind of version of that, I don't like it.
God,
and I haven't ever.
Chat's fucking exploding. Man.
Yeah,
they're angry. They'd be throwing trash if you were there in person.
I haven't ever really liked it, but it wasn't until recently that I realized how much I hate Friday the 13th Part 6. Because number one, it's got one of the worst main final girls in it. Tell me one thing that she does in this movie that's at all memorable.
In this one, it's not really a final girl, though. It's
come
on,
she,
goddamn pussy.
You're gonna sit there and talk like that to Ratty Jarvis right now? Are you gonna do that?
And then
Garrett, I'm just curious. Did you purchase that for the Tommy Jarvis costume, or you just happened to have it?
I just happen to have it. Just happen to have it. Felt like it was a perfect time to break out the Tommy Jarvis jean jacket and
you meet Tom
say
Matthews
justice
at a
for
show.
Jason Lives.
You meet him at a convention coming up and say, "What the fuck you doing, Garrett? You pussy trying to steal my style and clothes?"
Oh God, he does the same shit in Return of the Living Dead too, which makes that great as well.
You leave.
You mean with Dad?
Tina, darling.
Oh my God.
I want your brains.
You leave Tom Matthews alone, will you?
That's a perfect impression, by the way. Holy shit. I don't know what else to say about it, man. I don't like Universal Monster Jason. I'm sorry. I agree it has some good music in it. The final scene is good. I will definitely give it that. I just don't like this movie.
Well, the interesting thing, though, is coming up on Sunday the 15th, we are doing a community commentary for the first time ever. Patrons and Uncle Bill, we're going to make him do it. We're going to do a watch-along of Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, which I happen to like. I mean, I don't love it. I think it hasn't aged well. But I think that was the first Friday the 13th movie that I ever saw as a kid.
Part 6?
Part 6. It holds a special place in my heart just because that. The opening segment in Part 6, I thought that was the coolest thing when I was a kid.
Well, this is real bad right here because
He's
Vince
got the
McMahon
rag on.
He's going to sell the whole company, man. If I keep talking about Part 6.
Yeah, stop talking about it, man. You're going to ruin everything.
Tom Matthews.
He's buddies with Tom Matthews.
You remember?
Listen, all of a sudden, like,
listen, no joke though.
But my movie.
Listen, I want to hear how this
come out on SmackDown. He's gonna be, "Hey Roman, you bougie."
I want to hear how this plays out because I don't know if anybody remembers when we did the Tom Matthews interview, but when we did it, he was in George Clooney's house.
Yeah.
Because they're like really good friends. So I'm just curious, like, CK, how would that play out? Like, I mean, the fact that George Clooney and Tom Matthews being friends and everything. Would that be
Hey George, I don't have anywhere to stay for the night. Can I come and hang out on your couch?
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's how he knows
George,
Vince. Maybe he met Vince through Stacy Keibler, and that's kind of how the connection happened.
Oh my God, dude. That blew me away though. That, I mean, of all the people, Tom Matthews, like best friends with George Clooney.
Didn't he say he was house sitting and taking care of George's dogs or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Did he yell to the dog, "Come here, you boy"?
Come here, George's dog.
Oh God. So if you hated that pick, then everybody here probably really hate this next pick too. But like I said, I'm going by what I would watch, not necessarily what the best film is. But my next pick, which is number 8 on the list.
Oh, we're already up to number 8.
What? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding.
Just trying to piss
Holy!
people off.
I'm not. I'm really not trying to piss anybody off.
I think that was like my number 1. I think.
Like,
holy!
This is one of the most overrated Friday the 13th films because to me it has like the most stereotypical kind of bullshit cast. It's got the Cheech and Chong characters in it. It's got like the wacky like Larry Zerner character in it.
Well,
not to mention the fact that you can't watch this movie in 3D because it looks like shit. And the 3D effects in it that you can see completely take you out of the movie because like come on. The freaking one that always got me was the Paul
Eyeball?
Kratka scene, the eyeball where you can see the string and everything that leads down. It's like, man, come
That
on.
was the first Friday the 13th movie I ever saw. Was that one?
That's probably the one that I've seen the most, I would think. I used to watch this like I think I recorded it off HBO and I burnt the hell out of it playing it. Yeah, I'm kind of baffled by this one. I don't know
He's
if
a changed man, Wes, you know?
I don't ever watch it. And the times that I do watch it or I catch it on something, I'm just like, this is just not. I mean, granted, Richard Brooker's great in it as Jason, and it's the first time.
I think that's the creepiest Jason ever. Like it just something about it. I remember that scene as a kid for the first time watching that and seeing him up in that window with no mask on. I almost shit myself.
She was
what did somebody call him? Oh God, I wish I could remember what somebody called the look of like when he takes the mask off in this. It was great.
Danny Campbell, though, is one of the. I think she's one of the worst final girls for sure. Like she was awful, horrible actress, even for a slasher movie.
Yeah, Bradley Taylor, I do like his performances. I'm not saying that I don't. I'm just saying that as a whole, like I never enjoy watching this movie. No, it wasn't Porky Pig. That was it. That he looked like Porky Pig without the mask.
He does.
Oh God. Yeah.
Now you pissed Vince off.
Yeah, and then there's the other thing where
it was.
Yeah. Where there's that whole subplot.
It's Steve's favorite
yeah.
Friday the 13th movie.
Maybe that's him because he's bald. Maybe that is Steve under the mask. That's Steve Jason. He's trying to get that girl like in the woods.
Brandon, thank you for the super chat. He says the second film legit scared me. There is someone in the room. LOL.
Scariest Porky Pig ever. So. Oh God.
Well, there's a couple of different designs of Jason though. There was one that Stan Winston did that they ended up not using. Isn't that right?
It seems like I had heard something like that. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I think like he had done it first and they didn't like it, so they got somebody else to do the Porky Pig Jason.
The classic story about this too is that there's that missing scene in the.
What's Robert Long talking about?
What? Garrett, you motherfucker.
Well, I love my pets too, Robert.
Oh shit.
Just so you know. Just in case you were wondering.
This shit's going off the rails quick.
Oh my
Ryo says that the Stan Winston makeup is in the silhouette in the intro segment. Okay.
Oh, really?
What
Vince said he wants Uncle Bill replaced with Bruce Pritchard.
That's right. You got to bring Bruce Pritchard back. Johnny Ace, bring him back. But no, it's got the scene where like the lead girl gets decapitated, gets her head cut off by a machete. That scene's missing from the film, but there's stills of it that people always talk about, like to this day. Which I would actually kind of like to see that because she's super annoying in this movie too. But yeah, I'm glad that I'm warming everybody's heart with these picks and everybody's really on board with my opinions of these movies.
I like the 3D in Friday the 13th Part 3. I mean, it's very gimmicky, but I think it works. I actually watched it in 3D a couple of years ago.
It may work as a 3D film. I don't think I've ever seen a good 3D version of it, but as a 2D film, that 3D shit is super annoying.
Well, I think there's some reason too they can't properly remaster it because of how it was filmed in 3D.
I wish I could see a real good one. Like if a theater could figure it out, and I would love that, man. Like because you're right, there really isn't a real good way. Even they've tried, but I haven't found one that's worked.
No.
Well, the last one that Scream Factory did does work. But you have to have, again, who has the actual 3D TV? I watched it on a 3D projector. And I think it's the same, I don't know, monoglyph 3D or whatever the hell they call it. It's the same as they did in the movie theater with the shutter glasses and shit.
That's really the only way to make that halfway decent. Yeah.
So wait, so they did it with the box set with the real 3D, like the new version, right? Like I have a 3D TV, but I have like a it's not real. Maybe it is. I don't know. It's an
Right,
LG,
so
but like you can turn anything 3D kind of thing.
yeah, but that's like a gimmick. Like that's what the studio does with a lot of these movies. They want to make more money. They're like click a switch and say, "All right, boys, Ninja Turtles is in
Right.
3D."
So that's why I'm not sure if even work on that TV that I have.
So what worked for me is it was a 3D projector and it had active shutter 3D glasses. So that means that they have to be like battery powered or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The passive 3D, I don't know if it works as good on it, but that's how I watched it. And my mind was fucking blown, man. I'm not even kidding. Like I don't normally even put over 3D that much. I think it's more annoying than anything. But this is seriously like you're kind of, and it's
awesome.
It's stupid shit. I mean, most of it is like, you know, she's taking the clothesline pole and it looks like she's trying to poke you in the face with it or whatever. But it really works.
You remember when we actually got, I think it was the DVDs. Wasn't it the DVDs they first started putting the 3D glasses
like
in?
that edition with like the red cover, like the lenticular thing.
Yeah, and we tried to watch that and I was like, God almighty. Like it didn't work at all. Like
they gave you, I think, the red and blue glasses, right?
Yeah. Actually came in
and that's not even how it was released in theater. Like they just gimmicked that up. I really don't know even how they did that. So yeah, that never worked.
But anyway, I'm just like, listen, I'm really glad that everybody's so supportive of my list, though. This is really going well so far. But number 7 is, where's it at? And this one I think people will be a little bit more happy with. My number 7 is Jason Goes to Hell.
Well, I think they're mad that the other ones are behind it, but the only person I think, well, Ken Levels is probably, that was like his number 1, I think. So he's probably kind of mad that it's not up there a little more.
Maybe it's just me, but the fact of the matter is with this movie, like, I don't think the director knew anything at all about what he was doing, and that kind of makes it better for me somehow. Like, because he's putting characters in it that don't have any business being in the Friday the 13th film, but kind of work. The guy, I can never remember his name, who's like the cowboy. He was in the X-Files. Stephen Williams, is that his name?
Yeah.
Who's in this? He's
I
like,
don't remember his name, yeah.
Going around breaking people's fingers and all this stuff. The opening of this movie I love too, because I thought that was really kind of a unique way to open the film with, you know, where for once Jason is stalked and the FBI is behind it and they blow him up and all that stuff. Now, granted, when his spirit starts like leaving his body and like all that bullshit.
I thought that the marketing behind it, that New Line, I remember the TV spots and the poster and everything, even though ultimately that artwork, the silver mask and all that shit was never in the movie at all. It was kind of just a marketing thing. But I think that they did an excellent job promoting that movie. And I saw that thing twice in the movie theaters, 13 years old. And loved it then. I mean, as far as the New Line Friday the 13th movies go, I think it's the best one.
I do too.
I mean, it's got a lot of, somebody else mentioned this on there too. Of all of the Friday the 13th films, aside from maybe part 4, it's got some of the best gore in it, especially if you watch the unrated version of it too. So, I mean, KMB was behind the effects in it, so it's pretty amazing in that way too. Which, if you're, I mean, why the hell are you watching a Friday the 13th movie if not at least partially for the gore? So, which some of these other movies that I mentioned prior to this don't really have that good of gore.
I always remember hoping that his mask was chrome. For some reason, at that age that I was at, I thought that was like so killer, like back then. Now I'm kind of like, I'm kind of fine with him not having it. But I remember looking at that poster and thinking how sick it was and wondering what the hell is this thing coming out of the mask. And
I remember the VHS tape too, because that was one of the early like horror movies that was released unrated on VHS. And when that came out, I mean, kids like my age, my buddies and everything were eating that up. They were so excited. Oh, what could they have? They added stuff back in there that was too hardcore for the theaters. So that was one of the early ones that I can recall that did that.
Yeah.
But it didn't do that well at the box office. I was looking it up here. It just made a little bit more than Friday the 13th Part 8. So the budget, oddly enough, the budget on Jason Goes to Hell was only $3 million and it made $15.9 million. Somehow the budget of Part 8 was $5 to $5.5 million. It made $14.3 million. What did they spend on Jason Takes Manhattan?
I guess it was maybe like being in Manhattan for one day or whatever.
I have no idea. I'm like, it was on a damn set, like a closed set. I don't know.
And that tent scene was freaking killer.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a couple of really cool effects. Like I always thought that the part in the diner where he like elbows the woman and her face, like her mouth caves in or whatever, that was really cool scene too. And Leslie Jordan, somebody mentioned he's in it as well. Like he always plays kind of crazy characters like that. Yeah. But okay, so that's
I also thought Jason Goes to Hell always, like, it looked like it was filmed like an X-Files episode or something like that.
It did.
It does kind of look like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it, but you're right. It does kind of look like an X-Files episode.
Maybe it was the same cinematographer or something. Who knows? So, Jason Goes to Hell. That's Vince's favorite.
I hate to do this, but I'm sure some people are going to shit on this one too.
Oh no.
I used to feel a lot better about this one too. But then like after rewatching it like a bunch of times, this used to be probably my second favorite, but it could have been so much more than what it is. So my next one, I'm going to do it, is Carrie versus Jason.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to do another one. Okay. I mean, again, you got to look at where we are. We're like probably over halfway now. So
it's 8, right? Is that 8 or 7?
No, I think that's 6, isn't it? Isn't this 6?
Hell, I don't know.
I think so. I think there's only 5 left. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love this is the one I remember most on VHS from when I was a kid. Like I probably watched this 100 times on VHS back in the day. I love this movie. I thought the idea behind it was killer. I still think the idea of it's kind of ingenious, like Carrie versus Jason and all that. And like some of the end sequences and stuff, except for the part where she brings back her dad, which I still don't really understand what the hell any of that was about. But it could have just been like so much better if they would have just let Beekler do the effects that he wanted to do. That's the biggest problem with this movie. It's so kind of chopped pieces. But I still like it because it's a real like exploitation look to the film. And that's the way that these movies should be, in my opinion. Like they shouldn't look stylized and glossy, and they should be kind of down and dirty looking.
Someday we can get that movie the way it was intended. It's sad that we've never really got that.
I think that footage exists. I mean, you would think that a studio wouldn't throw anything like that away, but it's probably they don't have. I had heard, I think Don May, we were talking to him, that a lot of that stuff that Paramount keeps in the vaults is just a mess. So if it exists, it would involve someone searching it out and trying to find it. That could take weeks or months to do. So who knows if that would ever happen. But I think that ultimately it would benefit Paramount if they could get it and put it back together. People would go, can you imagine just a single release, a 4K of Friday the 13th Part 7, the never before seen uncut version?
I mean, I would buy that in a heartbeat, man. That would be amazing to see that. And that the footage is on like YouTube, like a lot of it is, but it's just the quality of it is pure shit. Like you can't see really you can see kind of like what was intended, but you can't really like see a lot of
Yeah, it
the
was a
gore in.
VHS copy or something.
I wish to God though that they could do something, and there's still a chance that eventually somebody will find something that's out there, somewhere. Look at Martin, man. I mean, that took 40, 50 years. Yeah.
I think eventually they may find it. I mean, I don't know how long it'll be from now, but I think that exists. That's still around somewhere in a vault. It's just kind of lost. But part 7, I'm like you, like that was one of my favorites as a kid. But now it's one that I never, ever really want to go back and rewatch for some reason.
Yeah, there's just not a whole lot to it other than like the main, which I give Laura Park Lincoln a lot of credit to, though. I liked her in this quite a bit. But other than that, give a shit. Part 7. So, and this is weird because this
very cool poster for part 7, though. I always like.
Oh yeah,
very
well,
cool. And Friday has all great posters. Those VHS tapes, man, like some of the best freaking artwork ever.
I will say this,
like super effective.
We didn't mention this, but I will say this: like, I think that the look of Jason in this movie is probably like one of my favorites. Like especially with the mask at the end and everything too.
Although he looks like a boglin at the end when his mask comes off, like the hockey mask.
He does kind of look like a boglin. How was it again?
They say, like, he said he was like a dinosaur, Jason, or something. Somebody always say. He turns into a dinosaur.
Shit.
Now, let me ask you guys this, and I think we've probably touched upon this before, maybe even on the one that we did, but when it comes to Friday the 13th as a kid, now, did it ever bother you about the changing of looks for him? What was your mindset with that?
No, it never that never really even entered my mind when I was watching these movies growing up. Like, it wasn't until much later I started caring about what they look like in terms of.
What's interesting is that for me, I felt like as a kid that his change in look was just based on him rotting more, battle damage. What the
Jesus?
Hey guys.
That's kind of what I always thought about it when I was a kid. Like, I was like, oh, this mask is damaged from this other movie, and then he was getting more rotted away. Like, the looks changed, but to me, they always kind of felt similar, just more rotted away and old. I feel like I got more upset that Michael Myers' mask was always so different when technically he could have gotten any new mask at any time, but for some reason that bothered me way more than like Jason's looks. Like, to me, I felt like it was in continuity for some reason.
The VHS covers of Halloween 4 and 5 and being like, well, where is that mask at? It's never, you get like a fucking clown Michael Myers mask in part 4.
I always was really bothered by, like, in Halloween 2, like, doesn't he go back and like it's in his old house or something, and it's been there, it's like underneath a fucking toilet or something like that, and the mask is all ruined, and he puts it back on.
I mean, I know for a fact that's in the Rob Zombie one.
That's what I mean. The Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh, yeah. But part 4, they actually, in Halloween, he actually grabs a new mask anyways from that like shit store or whatever, like Halloween store or something.
It looks like a dinosaur mask, at least.
Hey, speaking of which, remember in part 5 where he grabs that one mask out of there that has absolutely fucking nothing to do with anything going on? It's like a gangster mask or something, like a.
Oh yeah.
He's riding around the truck with it. Those movies. Anyway, we're up to the top 5 though.
Yeah, top 5. You want to take some comments and questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wes Ray says that he watched them out of order as a kid. So I guess none of the details we was talking about really bothered him as far as the look. And Mel is in here. What's going on, Melody Felcher? Creepy dinosaur. The mayor. No, that's the Keggy. I can't read. Friday the 13th, part 2, 3, and 4 are the best for me. So no love for the first one. And some trivia there. Friday the 13th, part 7 is the first movie Kane Hodder played as Jason.
Yep.
Gene Siskel is back in here. Welcome, Gene. He's visiting from hell tonight. Uncle Bill.
God damn.
He wants to know if Uncle Bill's going to be on Chatterbait later so they can play catch up, play something else.
I think that's Victor under that disguise.
Mm-hmm. I like this I like this comment from that horror critic. It's pretty simple.
Dear Uncle Bill, what are you on, buddy?
Orcs in here, yeah.
I just can't believe that people really don't enjoy this ranking. I really thought I was going to make a lot of friends from this ranking of these movies.
Number 5 is Uncle Bill's favorite, according to he thinks that he might like A New Beginning the most.
Ooh. Wander This World wonders what Uncle Rad's ranking is.
We might do that. That might be the one next time. We'll do Uncle Rad's ranking.
Yeah.
Carlos, don't look up chat.
Please don't.
Probably don't want to. All right, so continuing on, we're down to the top 5.
I think I know what his favorite is, but I think he might surprise me. But let's see what we got.
Well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that the order of this will probably surprise people. I don't know. Number 5 on the list is one that I used to despise quite a bit, but has grown on me a lot over the years. And that is Jason Takes Manhattan. So, okay, for a longest time, it was really just about, most of it takes place on a boat, yada, yada, fucking yada. Not a lot of it takes, but this is, to me, a really good version of Jason, except for when he turns into whatever the hell that is at the end.
A rotting pumpkin.
Toxic waste turns him into a pumpkin-headed child and whatever that shit is. But before that, it's actually a really good kind of final Paramount film. It's not, I used to think that Part 7 was a lot better, but now I'm actually thinking that this movie might eclipse it a little bit. If for nothing else, for a couple of scenes, including the boxing scene and, a couple of the scenes with, for some reason, the pervy teacher, that whole subplot always confused me. So was he a pervy teacher or was he not? Because she sets him up and then he comes into the room and he's kind of taken aback by it, but he's not, he doesn't run away or anything, but it never really he
would have went there. He would have
went
there. Totally.
You kind of get the impression that maybe he was just a perv, going all the way back to with Renee, what's her name? The lead character, whatever.
Renee.
Yeah.
Darkest Side of the Night song on the intro's killer, says Stuntman Mark. I agree too. I think that's one of the best. So I'm very nostalgic for Part 8. So I can give you a spoiler alert for my list. Part 8 is going to be high up on my list because I like it quite a bit. I'm watching the DVD right now. Check this out. How rare is this signature? The director.
Oh, yeah.
Part 8.
Wow.
Rob Hedden signed it. It was one of the through the mail deals back in the day.
Yeah. There's a lot to really like about this. One of my all-time favorite scenes in any Friday the 13th movie is when he's walking through downtown New York and he just punt kicks the fucking boombox.
I have that boombox.
Oh, really?
I bet that thing's a collector's item. Uh-oh.
Here it comes.
I wonder if the song that he's playing when he kicks the boombox, is that a real song? That'd be a cool one to find.
That would be.
It's like a rap song or something, isn't it? Oh, shit.
What the hell? I had a boombox exactly like that, man, when I was a kid. Tell me that it lights up, Garrett. Tell me that it actually lights up when you play it.
I think I'd have to plug it in and charge it or something, but yeah.
Yeah.
My goal is to eventually maybe to get, I was thinking to get Hotter to sign it, but I don't know. I haven't done that yet.
Or you could also use batteries. That's what we did back in the day. Those big D cell batteries.
Yeah, that's what it needs. Some. I don't have any batteries in there. It's got those big bad boys, and it's got a plug in the back that there's a door, and when you open the door, there's a plug that I can plug it in.
I don't know if you remember it back in the day. If you had one of those, that those fucking boom boxes would drain those batteries like
Oh, yeah.
within a couple of hours.
They'd be the big suckers.
Oh
too,
yeah,
like,
because
yeah,
the
like 6
D's they
feet,
were all
whatever.
Yeah, because like that's the closest thing you could get to like a car battery that'd last a while on most shit. But no, not on those boom boxes, man. Those died pretty quick.
Especially in the ones like that I had, I think would have been like the early 90s, where like it had the lights sync up with the music. And so like you'd be playing the music and then the lights would like be like, you know, kind of going with the rhythm and everything. So that would eat up your batteries in like an hour.
Yeah.
You had like an
Living
hour
in
talk.
city ain't no big deal. Is that a real
That's
song?
it.
You know what else was a battery killer? Was Sega. What is the little one?
Oh, Game
Not
Gear.
Yeah, dude.
Game
that thing
Gear,
was
man.
brutal.
I used to have it had like it used like 6 or 8 AA batteries, and
I
it
got
would be
another one
gone
for
like that.
Sega Nomad. Do you guys remember the Sega Nomad?
I never had that.
I don't know what the Nomad is.
So that one was like it was a portable Sega Genesis. I mean, it was kind of portable. It was like fucking carrying around a cinder block. But yeah, this thing would drain batteries within an hour or two.
I just remember that Game Gear, man. That Game Gear was awesome, by the way.
It was.
But you had to plug it into the wall. You weren't going to do shit with batteries. Like,
No, you used to like lay in your bed at night under the covers, like when everybody was like when you're supposed to be in bed, and all of a sudden you'd be like, "Shit, it's dead."
yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So where are we at? 4. Number 4.
Lepke's wanting everybody to stretch before they do the roundhouse kick to the like button. Or what else can you do the like button, Uncle Bill? If you don't.
Well, we're already demonetized anyway, so I mean, you can titty fuck the like button if you'd like, or you can Alabama shit can it.
Alabama hot pocket.
Yeah.
Make sure if you're on my channel to sub to these dudes up here if you're not.
Yeah, and sub to Born2BeRad. You can go to born2berad.com to directly go to that YouTube page just like that.
Ooh, tricky.
But yeah, we still have 170 plus people in here.
That's insane.
Yeah, happy Friday the 13th, everybody, and we appreciate you hanging with Born2BeRad and Dead Pit on Friday the 13th.
Well, Bobby, we get demonetized for a lot of different reasons, but mostly for vulgarity. So,
yeah.
Number 4 is number 4.
Hell yeah. I mean, deserves to be in the top 4, no doubt. It's freaking, to me, it wasn't my number 1, but I mean, it's when you think of a slasher, for me, that's like a perfect slasher movie.
I think it is. Like, I completely agree. Like, it hits everything that you want, like, a slasher film to be. So you got Tom Savini doing the makeup effects. You got Corey Feldman in there. You got, like, Crispin Glover dancing around. It's like, it's quirky and it's gory and it's got, like, some great scene. The ending scene is my second favorite ending scene of any of the Friday the 13th films. I mean, it's just a really well made movie. And I will say that Ted White as Jason in it is a little stiff, I guess, because he really didn't he's probably 75 years old when he made this damn movie. Like, how old was he?
Planet CHH, we have already talked about the remake, and Uncle Bill he didn't shit on it proper Uncle Bill style, but I don't think he liked it either.
Well, it was number, what was it, 10, I think?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was like it was up
Or
there for 10. Yeah.
Just re-signed up to Patreon. Thank you, sir. But part 4, man, I love part 4 as well. That was going to be pretty high up on my list. I've seen that movie a ton. I think looking at the whole franchise, part 4 is probably the quintessential Friday the 13th. It's kind of got everything that series needs. The look of Jason's really cool too. I thought Ted White's probably top 2 for me of the guys that portrayed Jason over the years. And the only problem I have with part 4 is Kimberly Beck, Adam Beck's mom. I think she's kind of a weak final girl. I would have switched Judy Aronson with her and have Judy be the final girl because she's the better looking of the two. She doesn't look like a cunt like Kimberly Beck looked like.
God damn.
Yeah, I mean, just to be honest, it's true. Kimberly Beck looks like the cheerleader type that's like, she loves the smell of her own farts and stuff like that.
So yeah, Judy, how do you say her last name?
Judy Aronson.
Aronson. She's like the Joyce Heiser. You know what I mean? Like she's not a blonde, and she's
Joyce Heiser.
Very
That's prime right there. That's funny.
Yeah.
She was somebody that I'm shocked never did more.
Me too, man. What the hell ever happened to her? It's like after that movie, like you never saw her really.
No,
did she do American Ninja or something like that?
No. Did she?
I think she was in one of those martial arts movies back around the same time.
Yeah, I don't know, but she does something now with like a lot of charities and stuff because she's done videos talking about that and stuff. She's kind of out of the limelight for sure though.
So Kimberly Beck's uncle Jeff passed away, so I should apologize.
God damn it.
That wouldn't be her uncle, that'd be more like her brother because she's old too.
But I don't know what else to say about part 4 though, man. Like it's
I think everybody likes part 4. Maybe old Curly Jaws hates it.
Maybe he does. I don't know how you could hate it though, because it's not boring. And it's just got like great makeup effects and Corey Feldman like going off and shaving his head and fucking. I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely before. It was before the Michael Jackson stuff. Yeah, he was pre Michael Jackson.
Well, he did this movie the same year he did the Gremlins, and then the next
this
year,
like one of his first movies. Yeah, that he ever did.
Yeah, the next year he did the Goonies, which kind of made his career explode there for a little while.
Can you please explain to me, Garrett, because you probably know more about Corey Feldman than me. Like, why does he still do the Michael Jackson shit? Like, what is the
I don't know
fascination?
I think it's probably maybe dedication to him. I don't know for sure why he does it, but I guess it's just part of his gimmick. I mean, maybe now that Michael's dead, he's trying to be like the next one. I don't know, but yeah, it's weird. I actually just finished his book. I've had it a long time, and it was a hard read when I bought it when it first came out because they get really detailed about a lot of shit with him and Haim and whatnot. So I put it down for a while, and then I just found out it was on audiobook. And not only is it on audiobook, but Corey Feldman does the audiobook, and he does voices for different actors and actresses that he's talking about and stuff. It's really entertaining. So if anybody's interested in learning about his whole career and life and all that stuff, it's definitely worth it. It's called Choreography, and you can get it on Audible.
I don't know.
He doesn't get too deep into that because it ends before he really gets hard into like what he's doing now.
Well, obviously Michael Jackson touched Corey in a special way back in the day.
No, he says never. He said never.
Well, I'm not. Hey, you're thinking dirty, man. I'm just saying he was.
They did spend time together. Actually, he actually even said that Michael Jackson showed him porn at one point, but nothing ever.
Here's an interesting one for you guys though to look up because I got going on YouTube. Down, that YouTube rabbit hole, which all of us have been on, like looking through stuff and everything, right? So, and we're talking about maybe, or I mentioned it was my idea. I don't know if we really talked about it, doing a lost media episode on famous clips or stuff that was shot that nobody has ever seen, that nobody can explain. And there's one clip that Corey Feldman is in. It was some sort of dance teen show that he did around the filming, or I guess they had finished the filming of Dream a Little Dream in the 90s. Yep. And there's a clip in the middle of this performance that it's almost like it was accidentally spliced in there. There's no reason for that to be in there at all, of this woman half naked, tied up like she's being tortured or something. Real quick clip. You know what I'm talking about, Garrett?
No, I mean I know the clip of him I know the clip of him in that teen. That was like a a kids, I don't know what the name of it was, but there was clubs that they had in LA around that time where basically like underage child stars would go and hang out and party and stuff, and like they basically ran the whole thing. Like people would do performances and they'd have dances and stuff. As far as why they showed that clip in there, I mean, it wasn't a spliced thing that someone did after the fact, or
no, I was told it aired and it's like a really quick cut.
I never even knew about it.
And it does not fit with the other shots at all or anything. So there's a big question around. I mean, you could look at this it's on YouTube. Big question about who is that girl? What in the hell was that clip? Because this was a show for teenagers in 1989, 1990 or something like that. It's just very odd. It looks like it's not professionally shot either. It looks like it was camcorder footage. So
That's weird.
Very odd.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, and I see what Keggy's saying. I was gonna bring that up at once we got there. But
yeah, we'll get there. We're getting there.
The YouTuber Nexpo, Carta has of course seen it. We like the same sort of shit.
Number 3. A lot of people on here, you said this is going to be my number 1. You said it's going to be my favorite. And it fucking ain't. So suck on that. My number 3 is Part 2. I really hated this movie for a long time growing up because it's not a Jason film in the traditional sense of the word, because it doesn't have like hockey mask. And when you're a kid, that's really the only thing you're thinking about. Like when you visualize Jason, you think about the hockey mask. But this is Tater Sack Jason, and that doesn't exist in this world. But this one has the best pace to me. It has the best ending of any of the Friday the 13th film, and it has the best final girl, Amy Steele. It's got some awesome kills. It basically ripped everything off from Bay of Blood and a lot of Mario Bava work, but it just works somehow or another to me. Like it's an exploitation film, but it's not stupid. It never really gets like really stupid. And I thought that the end scene with Mrs. Voorhees and all that being present, so to speak, was probably my favorite end scene to any of the Friday the 13th films. So,
well, and the decapitated head with the candles and everything, and then the end where Amy Steele's tricking Jason and everything like that. So that's just some classic shit. But when I was a kid, I didn't really get Part 2 either. And it's weird because really the first 2 movies, when I first getting into the franchise and stuff, I never really watched those. I never really wanted to go and watch those. But as I got older and everything, and I watched them more and more, I really, really learned to appreciate the first couple movies.
Yeah, Saturn has actually got it pretty close. He says it's got the darkest atmosphere of the whole series. It really does. Like it really just is. It's just a really dark kind of, I don't know. I won't say mean-spirited, but some of it is kind of mean-spirited, really. Like some of the things that happen in it too. But it's the one that kind of really makes you feel uneasy when you watch it still to this day. And it's got like a super killer campfire scene in the beginning of it too.
Yeah, dude, I love that Part 2 a lot.
But
I think
the wheelchair scene.
Oh yeah, so killer.
It's like what?
That's hardcore, man. Yeah,
you never see that coming either. Like, I mean, the first time you watch it,
I wonder how they shot that. That was a real person in that wheelchair, wasn't it?
I thought it was a mannequin. It looks like a mannequin.
I think they mannequined it up as it was going. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It looked pretty good. And Amy Steele, I think, is still literally my favorite as far as the final girls go. She's one of the very best.
Oh yeah, agree.
Only bad part about this movie is Stu Garrett and his name.
What's
not talking to you, Garrett?
Stu.
I think that's his fucking name.
Stu Charno.
Stu Charno. Stu Garrett. It must be a combination. That guy and Garrett.
Wow.
Who's
that? The boyfriend?
Yeah. The boyfriend? No, that's the dude that like is the redheaded like kind of jokester character that like
Oh, he's
disappears.
like a
Just one of the
yeah.
guys
He's in a lot of 80s movies. Yeah. He plays like the same kind of character or whatever. He was
Yeah,
in
he's
just one of the,
yeah,
he
I
was
was
in
gonna
just one of
say
the guys with
He's a
Heiser.
lizard
yeah,
guy.
he's the lizard dude in that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love part 2. I love the Baghead. I'm
Still to this day,
the
though, and I
first
know
one we ever saw.
we mention this every time we bring Stu Charno up. He's the only guy in the history of the original Dead Pit Radio Show
Oh, this is
that
true.
wanted money to be interviewed. Stu Charno.
You know, was he in maybe you guys, maybe he wasn't. There's a cool movie from the 80s called Hunk. I don't know if you guys know that one.
No.
Hunk. It's pretty cool. It's like a comedy. I think he's like the dork, and then what happens is something happens where all of a sudden he wakes up and he's like a muscular, like good-looking guy. I don't know if anybody in the chat saw that. It's one of those movies that it hasn't seen the light of day, I think, since DVD, but it's always one that I've hoped would get a Blu-ray. It's a pretty cool 80s movie, like a teen comedy type movie.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I haven't either.
It's cool.
Someone mentioned the whole thing with Steve Dash, though. This is one of my favorite interviews from back in the day, talking about Origin Land and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's some classic shit. Warren Gillette is a kind of a douchebag. We met him. I mean, we never did interview him or anything, but he's totally like one of those guys that you can tell he's just full of shit.
So there's only 2 left.
I won't put it on there.
You guys are out of control. You guys are out of control.
No.
Hey guys.
No. Oh no. Okay. Do you ever get shit like this on your chat, Garrett? Is it just us that gets discussed?
I think it's mostly just you. Yeah,
That's
I don't
what I
get
figured.
too much of this. I get some of it, but not much.
People like trying to like make us pop or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, so number 2.
Number two
is the original. And for one reason only, and that's Betsy Palmer. I still think that Betsy Palmer's performance in this movie is one of the best villain performances in any horror film. I think it's severely underrated to this day. I think if you go back and watch that movie, it's not very good until she shows up. And when she shows up, like, it's pretty amazing. Like, she just absolutely, like, just chews the scenery and everything around her. And I love her role in the film. And keep in mind, too, when this was made, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff that Savini did that nobody had ever really seen before, like the arrow, through the neck scene and all that. Like, he created a lot of effects that had never really been seen before for this movie. And I think that once you get about midway through it, the first half is kind of just like so. It's really good.
I like the whole movie at this point. I think the vibe, like the atmosphere in this one is pretty thick. Like the setting and everything. And I think Crystal Lake was never scarier than this movie. Like the lake itself and that atmosphere, Camp Nobi Bosco in New Jersey or wherever the hell it is. That time period, man. And then the opening scene, the Kumbaya scene, that's creepy as shit. And as a kid, it didn't work for me at all. I don't know what happened. But man, like, I think I really started falling in love with the first movie when the first DVD came out, like back probably 20 years ago at this point. 2000, I guess, 99, 2000, whenever that first DVD came out, and I started watching it again. And I was like, hell, there is something to this movie. And I really started warming up to it.
Mm-hmm. I was always a fan of the first, and I know a lot of people, for whatever reason, didn't like it or don't like it. It always worked for me, and I think it's because I had my uncle to kind of prep me for what was going on, and I kind of watched them backwards. I know I watched 3 first, and I know he showed me 1 and 2, but I don't know if I went backwards or I went 3, 1, 2. I forget how it worked, but it just her performance in this is just amazing. So to me, as a kid, knowing the story and like anything else, I think Jason not being in it it's fine because I think it just really builds to the rest of the franchise, and it kind of gives you it kind of makes you feel better about 2 and all that stuff when they continue it on because of the way this one kind of ends and whatnot. But yeah, she just killed it, man. Kills it.
Yeah, there's a scene in it where because the first time that you watch it, if anybody can remember, I can't remember the first time I watched the original Friday the 13th. That's how long it's been.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to imagine that it's a murder mystery, right? So people really didn't know at the time who the killer was, and they I guess expected it to be a guy based on what was going on. And there's that scene where she's talking to Adrienne King, and you start to realize that she's fucking crazy. And that's such a well acted scene because she's talking to her and she's kind of petting the side of her head, and she's saying something to her he was my son, and he wasn't a very good swimmer. And then when the way she says that and smiles and then jerks back the smile really, really quick is amazing. Just go back and watch that one scene where she says he wasn't a very good swimmer. It's outstanding.
But being a little kid and seeing that head decapitation scene was freaking something I had never seen anything like that before in my whole life, and it's stuck with me ever since. That was the first time I ever saw anything where a head came off a body or whatever. And I just remember me just seeing it rolling on the beach and just kind of being in awe of what I saw. I don't remember how old I would have been though.
And what a lot of people don't realize is too, in 1980 when this thing came out, this was a massive box office hit. It was huge. It was huge.
Yeah, it's still the highest grossing one. I saw some sort of chart about that. I guess it's adjusted for inflation or something like that. But yeah,
$550,000 budget. It made $59.8 million in 1980.
Yeah.
I think it opened the same weekend as The Shining, and it kicked the fuck out of The Shining.
That's hilarious. If you think about it, that's
yeah. So, the 4K though, that's one thing that I think it came out since the last time we did one of these ranking shows. Have you guys picked up the 4K yet and checked it out or anything? It's gotten kind of mixed reviews.
No,
I have not. I probably will at some point. I think I'm just kind of waiting for something better with it. Are they going to do a full set? Are they not? I mean, I don't know. If I can get it really cheap, maybe I'll grab it. But like you said, I've heard mixed things about it for sure. So I'm just kind of curious on what you said. You thought it looked fine, right? But did you watch the physical or the digital code or whatever?
I had the Voodoo code and I checked it out, and I thought it looked great. But is it enough? I didn't watch it back to back with the 4K remastered Blu-ray. Is it that big of a difference to where you're really even going to notice? I don't know, but I thought it looked really good. I will.
Well,
the one that I saw.
What else is interesting is we talked about the Kevin Bacon and the effects and how huge that was for back then. It was mind blowing. But I feel the better the quality that we get, the worse that looks.
True.
That effect really doesn't play well now with 4K and Blu-ray. It looks really bad. Where back in VHS days and when it was on TV and stuff, it freaking looked fantastic. But now with all that elements of being higher, I just feel it really pulls back on some of that kind of stuff for this movie. And I really haven't really noticed that with many other movies that the special effects look that bad. Because it literally looks like a different head on that body.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell the problem is the more that they get into the 4K part of it, the more you can see the blending isn't done,
Correct.
They couldn't do it exactly precisely. And the more that kind of pulls into that, then the more you can see the effect. But yeah, it's kind of better.
So that's why I think it's cool to watch the 4K, but it pulls it back a little bit on some of the quality when it comes to that.
Well, it's interesting because all of these movies, you got all the Halloween movies out in 4K, but only the first Friday the 13th movie. And I don't even know if there's a huge demand for the movies in 4K. I mean, I guess there is, but I couldn't imagine maybe part 4 would look really cool in 4K. But all the other ones are just really cheaply, a lot of them are really cheaply made. I couldn't imagine Friday the 13th Part 7. We're very close to 200 people on here, and it'd make me really happy.
If we got to, it'd make his day.
Share the.
It would make his Friday the 13th.
This would be the first time outside of a Vinegar Syndrome stream that we've ever got over that. So we appreciate.
We just lost 3 people when you started that shit. You son of a bitch! We could have done it.
There you go.
Share it, like it, subscribe to both channels.
But something else though that we can talk about, the Crystal Lake series.
Oh no.
Which is coming up, I guess, what is it, next year possibly or something? How do you think, like, are they going to have it set in the 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it's going to follow Pamela for a while, and it's going to see young Jason, and I think it's going to kind of take off from there. Kind of almost like, I'm thinking like Bates Motel, and then it's going to kind of roll with stuff later, I think. That's where I think it's going to go. And I'm actually intrigued by that, to be honest.
Well, best case scenario would be Bates Motel. I mean, I think that's the most successful one so far. I think that if they really wanted to go all out with it and do it right, why don't you take it back up to Camp Nobi Bosco and film it there? Like, I don't know how difficult that would be, but that town up there still looks the same. A lot of that stuff in the downtown area of, what's the name of the town?
Blairstown?
Yeah, Blairstown, New Jersey. It still looks very similar to what it did back then. And I just think it'd be fun. It'd be a cool connection to that first movie to go all out and at least you could do some wide shots. You won't have to shoot there all the time, but kind of a cool connection they could have.
I agree. And that's all still pretty much like, even the center of town is like it's not that much different as it was then. Like, you
because
really
there's a ton of people that have done those kind of like location videos for that, and it still looks pretty much the same, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, but we're down to number 1. You got to know what it is by now, right?
That was what I assumed it was going to be. Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm sorry that I could not surprise y'all, but the truth of the matter is, it's the best fucking one. It's the best one for a lot of different reasons. The number 1 is because it's got the most memorable characters in it. I can name you off 5 or 6 characters from this movie, like right off the bat. I couldn't do that for any of the other Friday the 13th. So it has the most memorable characters. It has the funnest kind of depiction of the characters. It's got some of the best kills, and it doesn't ever take itself really seriously, and it's an exploitation style film. Mm-hmm. So everything that I like about this series is kind of encapsulated in this one movie. And plus it's got like some really cool like songs, like original soundtrack stuff in it as well. The Man with No Life in His Eyes, different stuff like that. I don't know. What else you gonna say about part 5?
Death
scenes. Everybody said.
I don't know if you mentioned that, the death scenes in part 5. I think overall, like top to bottom, they're the best. I mean, there may be some better ones in like part 4, but kill after kill after kill, part 5 is kind of hard to beat. Come on, Garrett, put over part 5. Do it.
I mean, it's good. It's not my favorite.
Fuck this shit.
You know, I think that I don't like Tommy Jarvis in that movie at all. I never did. I thought he was the worst. I thought Matthews was way better. I thought that Feldman was way better. I just never could get into that Tommy Jarvis. And so that always kind of threw me off a little bit. I just never liked him as a character. But I mean, yeah, it's got good characters in it. But you know, you can't that guy at the beginning now, he touched the Corys, man.
He did. How can I get behind that? He did that. But also though, real quick. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. That's all you need to know.
I remember.
No, I mean, I think it's good. I think I must have ranked this. I think probably 6. I think I did.
There's another 3 words for you, Garrett. Debbie Sue Voorhees. I'm not
knew what he
kidding.
was
though.
doing.
At that
He
point
knew
in
what he was doing.
time, she may have been the best looking girl that was ever in a Friday the 13th movie. It was like, it just like, I don't know. It's almost like watching for a 10-year-old kid. It was almost like watching an X-rated movie or something, seeing her. Oh God.
This is probably my favorite.
Yucks.
Probably my favorite quote in this movie too is right here. Good job, Mark. He put it up where she's Ethel's like I got a bomb on me.
I'm gonna blow us all up. I warned you, fella.
That's my final word.
You big dildo.
Vince is pissed again. See?
Oh Lord, no.
We got a super chat here too from Brandon. Tommy was doing kung fu in part 5.
He was.
Yeah.
I will give you credit. What's his name? Mark Shepard? Is that his?
John
He
Shepard.
didn't do anything.
John
after that.
Shepard. Yeah.
Game over.
He's not the best actor in the world. And I don't think he had like an especially great time doing this film either. But and then the other thing people always bitch about, of course, is that it's not Jason or whatever, but that's dumb. They need to stop doing that.
Well, that was a huge thing, though. I mean, this was kind of the black sheep of the franchise, much like Halloween 3 was as well. And it took many years for Friday the 13th to part 5 to kind of find its fan base. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say overall, it is one of the more popular in the franchise now, which is same thing with Halloween 3.
True. I'm not sure what else to say about part 5 because we've done whole commentaries over this movie.
We've done 3 different commentaries over the years, and all 3 of them are on our Patreon page.
Who the fuck are you? What the fuck do you want?
We originally,
that's another great line.
We're on our best behavior and recorded a commentary for the special edition of part 5 for Paramount, and they still didn't fucking put it on there. We were being nice.
No, they listen to her voices and they're like, no, we can't do that. People won't know what the hell they're talking about.
Thank you, Tales from the Tape, $4.99. Super duper chat.
I don't understand what that is. Is it a super chat or a super sticker or a super soaker?
I'm going to make it. I want to put it on here and record it. Super chat and play that.
That's a great idea.
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, I think Uncle Bill's like, I don't know. I think our rankings is going to be a little bit different, Uncle Bill. I mean,
I would have probably imagine, yeah.
Just a little bit. But yeah, so we appreciate everybody tuning in. If anybody has anything else, I mean, I guess we do have a little bit of time left.
I can't believe he threw 3 as high on that list, far back on that list. I still can't.
I just don't like it anymore. Like, I mean, for a time period.
When you're done this, I want you to sit down and you're going to rewatch it right now. Actually, you know what's funny is doing these shows. Like, I'm going to go watch one right now. I don't know which one, but I'm going to probably pop one in.
Was part 5 the one the mayor says with the 2 leather daddies? They just wanted to get to the gay bar, but they met
Jason. Yeah, that was part 5.
That guy was like in there trying, come on, motherfucker, rat-a-tat.
Rat-tat-tat.
Start the fucking car.
What was the guy's name? He kept saying his name too.
Vinny.
Vinny, yeah.
Come on, Vinny. You fucking pussy.
He gets a flare in his fucking jaw. Right in the jaw. So
what about Melanie?
Freddie Newsom.
Melanie Kinnaman, I think, was a great final girl too, man.
She was in fucking Louisa.
She was. And I didn't Halloween. Even go. I didn't even go. But the wet blouse and everything. And then you had Reggie the Reckless and his little red sweatsuit.
Hoodie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a hoodie or was it a sweatsuit? It was a crew neck. I don't remember. I think it was a red hoodie. Yeah. Red pants, red hoodie.
The mask for part 5 I always liked as well. It had the blue chevrons instead of the red. And even as a kid, I was like, that's a cool looking mask for some reason. I always thought so.
Also, the part with, Roy coming like, get out here and get your hands dirty or whatever. There's some killer just like,
like an arm is on that guy's back laying.
Well, you know what though? even with that, the cover art for the VHS is fantastic with that other mask. And
Yeah,
it's called The New Blood. It's got a different mask on the cover art. Like, they kind of told you what you were going to get without really telling you what you're going to get, but I have the replica of that mask from the cover as well on of that VHS. It's a real cool. It's like one of those old school like Cooper masks or whatever from back in the 80s.
The theatrical posters for this movie sucked ass though. Like, I don't know why, but they were doing that, like where they would just write out,
like text,
like a phrase. Yeah,
Jason still haunts you. You're not alone.
Yeah,
something.
So this is the other side. Yeah,
that's not really that. Like, I don't know. Why would somebody go to the movie theater? Like, why would that make somebody want to go see the movie? I don't know.
They did that for part 4 and 5 for some reason. The rest of the posters are all.
But why did Scream Factory not put the other image on there?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
VHS image.
NECA used that for
that's the best image, I think.
By far, yeah.
And they did a lamp, a promo lamp, which that thing is like crazy rare.
Mm-hmm.
But
I remember looking at that way back in the day on eBay, and it was reasonable at the time, but I just didn't. I think it was like $60 or something, $50, $60, and I didn't pull the trigger. And now I wish I would have, because that thing is really, really hard to get now.
I gotta say too, because I think like the early days of doing the Dead Pit show, we may have been the only people that were defending part 5. So I don't even think we were defending Halloween 3 at this point. But part 5, we were throwing out there. It's fucking great. Everybody needs to go back and check it out and everything. But like over the years, a lot more people have really warmed up to it, which all you gotta do is watch it. I mean, the big argument was, well, it's not really Jason. That's fucking stupid. Like, it's a guy in a hockey mask. Who gives a shit? Jason is a fucking character. It's still a guy killing people in a hockey mask.
I still think it's the most entertaining of all the Friday the 13th films. Like, you could watch it with like a crowd of people and it would go over every time. It's just that this is that kind of fun style of movie that they don't really do like those anymore.
Jack Frost said that part 5 is like Halloween Ends. Uncle Bill, do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever he wants to believe.
Jared L always loved part 5. Lucio Inferno.
Wow.
Redemption for Dracula 3D, Forgiven Friday 5, respect. Yeah, he's never lit up on the Dracula 3D thing.
And I never will either, because it's not that bad.
I'm talking about Lucio Inferno. He won't let you live that down at all.
Oh, I still believe
for the
still real to me, damn it.
Super chat.
So let's see.
Here's a question for you from Bobby. Why didn't Roy Burns just kill the guy who killed his son instead of everyone else?
That's a good question.
So yeah, I mean, Vic never dies, does he?
No, he just gets arrested.
He's arrested. I never even thought of that. Yeah.
He gets taken off. He's like the only one that doesn't die.
I've seen that movie a million times and I never really thought of that. Yeah, they just put him in a fucking cop car and he goes to jail.
Yeah.
He's free now.
He's fine. He posted bail.
You can do a fan film now. Vic's Revenge. He escapes prison.
That is so funny. He's like still sitting in prison right now.
That'd be an awesome film where Jason like hunts him down in the prison, tries to like get in and kill him because he's like the last guy left. I guess it wouldn't be. It would be Roy. It wouldn't even be Jason.
Talking about Corey Feldman earlier. Corey Feldman is briefly in the beginning scene of part 5.
Yep.
Dominic Braska, who plays Joey, didn't he call him out in that documentary as being one of Corey Haim's abusers or something like that?
He did.
Yeah.
So that's a weird connection too.
So they met they met there, and then they were on another movie together. I think Corey Feldman didn't know many people on that movie, and because he remembered him from this movie, he kind of took him under his wing. Like, and I'm trying to think what other movie this guy was in that Feldman was in. Maybe like License to Drive or something. I don't remember. Something else he was in. and that's where they kind of all met again. So yeah,
I don't.
but I mean,
remember-
this guy, is he in prison now or no?
No, he's dead. He died.
Oh, he did.
Oh,
didn't
that's
he?
right. That's what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah. I'm thinking of who am I thinking of though? I'm thinking of somebody else. Oh, the guy from Return of the Living Dead, right?
Brian Peck, wasn't that his name?
That's what I'm thinking. Okay, he's
Yeah.
the other guy. I'm getting him mixed up, but yeah,
he
this
was
guy
actually doing conventions and stuff for years and years, and just recently kind of went away. I think.
He was working for like Nickelodeon and
I was
stuff
getting
for,
ready to say, like he
ever,
was
yeah.
he was the guy that was a writer along with that other guy who I never can remember his name, but got like on all those iCarly and all those shows like that got accused of doing all that stuff.
Yep.
So how would Roy not know that Vic killed his son? I'm sure it was like in a local paper. Does he
Well,
not
I mean,
read
he
the
showed
newspaper?
up at the scene. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
don't you think one of the cops right there would have told him? Like,
Well, he was sitting in the back of the cop car, right, when they were wheeling the body.
yeah,
So he had to have known.
he like, didn't care. Like, didn't even ask questions.
Maybe Roy killed him off camera, according to the mayor. Kills Vic by strangling him and covers up the murder, making it look like Vic hung himself in the cell. See, they could have easily done that. Like, I guess they just didn't think about that.
I honestly, after meeting Danny Steinman, I don't think that he really gave a shit about the plot, the continuity of the plot, or anything like that.
You know what's great, and I think someone brought it up today. Do you guys have the documentary for what is it called there? Crystal Lake Memories of Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
That's a freaking great documentary. Going breaking down all the movies. Do you have that?
Yeah, the one that's like isn't like
Long.
4 or 5 hours or something like that.
Yeah, Feldman like hosted the beginning or whatever. It's really good.
Yeah, it's way better than His Name Was Jason. That was like the biggest letdown of all time.
Yeah, that thing was a piece of shit. I hated that when it came out.
It sucked. The Elm Street one's good that they did as well. That's a real good
That one was almost too long. Like, isn't that damn thing like
Elm Street is really long. It's like I think it's like 2 discs or something.
Yeah. It's like,
But if you guys haven't checked that out, I don't know how available it still is. Maybe it's on some of the new Blu-rays. I don't know if it's like as a special feature, but it's fantastic.
Here's another interesting thing. I don't know if we've mentioned it. Steinman was originally like keyed in to direct Last House on the Left Part 2 in the 80s, and it never came to be. Well, that's the perfect freaking guy to do the sequel for that.
Yeah, it really is. For those people that don't know, too, he directed Savage Streets, which is an amazing exploitation film you should watch.
Did Jim Belushi pass away?
I don't know, man.
Just
That would be a.
There's been a lot of like celebrity deaths and stuff lately. So
every day, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about that, Robert Long, but hopefully it's not the case. But
maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. Who's to say? You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't see anything right now.
We appreciate everybody tuning in to I mean, these shows are always fun. I always look forward to, because I don't have to prepare for anything. I've seen all these movies a million times.
Yeah.
You know, there's not much prep involved in doing these, and it's cool to just bullshit and listen to you crazy fuckers in chat and everything.
There's some good ones tonight. Jesus Christ.
We got some more, you know, if your love for Jason is, you know, if you're still into the Friday the 13th madness after today, Sunday the 15th will be your lucky day. On it, Uncle Bill. Sunday
the 15th, it was when we get to revisit the classic that I just ranked like number 8 or 9 on my list, Jason Lives.
Yeah, you're gonna like it again this time.
No, I'm not. I ain't gonna like it.
It's got core in it. It's killer, dude.
You might warm up to it, pussy.
Jesus.
Uncle Bill.
Did you ever play the game, the Friday 13th game? Have you guys ever played that?
Yeah, the
video game.
Actually, what system are you running on that?
I used to. I don't even know. I think it's PlayStation that I was playing it on.
I don't think we were even like talking at all when that was a thing. Like I was playing with like Piz and like a bunch of other people, but Christian just got a PlayStation 4 and he's been messaging me if we wanted to start playing, and I'm like, I'd love to play again. I loved that game.
I think that somebody said like here recently something happened with that game.
Well, the reason the game kind of failed is because with the lawsuit, they had to shut everything down, so they couldn't update it anymore. And like, you were supposed to get, Jason X and all this other stuff, the spaceship, and they basically just couldn't update it. So people stopped playing because it was just like the same 4 levels over and over again. But I just always thought it was fun when you just had like a bunch of people. One was Jason and the councils were trying to get away and all that stuff. And if we can get it to work, and if you still have all that stuff set up, it'd be awesome to kind of get on there. But what's funny is that Tommy Jarvis says all the same stuff in that game.
He does
over and over again.
Jason, come in.
You hear him throughout the game, like the whole time, like yelling down Jason. It's funny.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that at 10 p.m. on Sunday nights. Watch along for Friday the 13th, Part 6.
No,
I watched Part 6 not too long ago, actually. I think I was showing it to Sarah for the first time. Sarah liked it. Uncle Bill, she thought it was fun.
It ain't no count.
And you got anything planned coming up on the Born2BeRad channel? I know you got a surprise coming up. I don't know if you want to mention what it is. You kind of talked about it last show a little bit, I think.
A couple things going on. We've got obviously the movie room tour is the big one. That's the one everybody kind of wanted to see. It's filmed. I'm actually going to help edit it tomorrow for a little bit, and hopefully that will be out before the end of the month. Should be. This past week, we recorded the first episode of the Rad Pack podcast. We're going to drop the pilot next week on video form because we're still going to send it in to make sure it gets approved and stuff. And then it'll be on audio. And if everybody's, we definitely want feedback on it because it's a different format than what you're used to. And then from there, if everybody is cool with it, we're probably just going to keep running it as its own thing. And then as far as other videos, I have a review coming out this weekend for Last American Virgin. So the new Blu-ray just got released. And if you guys haven't seen that movie, I definitely recommend picking up this new Blu-ray because it's great. It's just a great movie. And I don't know if the Arrow version is still available now. That's what I had before as well. But those are the ones I think that I've got coming up that are set in stone. And I've got some Rad Company episodes just working out some dates that are coming as well. But those are the big ones, I think.
What was that guy's name? He was actually in what, like part 4?
Oh yeah. The kid from Last American Virgin was in part 4. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, I mean, we're going to have some reviews coming up in the near future as well. I think Possessor, the Brandon Cronenberg movie, was one that we were requested. And there's another one I had to look up because I could not remember the name. And I don't even know what this is. Does anybody in the chat know a movie called Heaven Knows What from 2014?
Mm-mm.
That was another request.
No. Really?
Yeah, I don't know what that is, though. I haven't even looked it up.
I've never heard of that, man.
Heaven Knows What from 2014.
One I have heard of, though, is Heaven Can Wait. Heaven Can Wait. Heaven Can Wait.
We can't sing in harmony like old times.
No, it'd be great if we could.
Heaven isn't too far away.
Evidently, nobody in the chat knows what that movie is either.
I know what it said.
Jack Frost says it might be a Kevin Sorbo movie.
What?
What? We've never talked about Kevin Sorbo on the show.
I mean, for good reason. I don't want to fucking talk about Kevin Sorbo.
Hercules.
That's so funny.
God.
All right. So, yeah, man, thank everybody in the chat and everything. And definitely go over to both channels, like both videos, subscribe to both channels. It helps out quite a bit. Trying to get Garrett up to the 2K.
Almost there. I mean, as of today, I think I had like, I was at like 30. I needed like 31 subs. So
we should be able to do that. Get Wet Movie on here. Spread some rad love, if you will, and everybody, subscribe that hasn't, so we can get him.
Yeah, it should. The way it usually goes, I'll be there by the end of the month, I think. So I appreciate it for sure. Anybody who subs over to there. because like I said, I got some stuff coming, and always more. Those are just the ones that I always have that I have booked already. But it's always cool stuff coming. We always make it work.
Yeah. So we got a lot of other cool stuff happening and everything. Not really sure exactly what that is yet, but hey, we've had a busy week this week for sure. We're not even done yet. But the commentary things are always fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you guys for joining in with us and stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been cool. And for all those that didn't like my list, well, I just make your own damn list. Like, who gives a shit what I like and what I don't like?
Love the rankings, though, man. You know, you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Wet One says it's time to get wet, bitch.
I can hear the song in my head.
But yeah, guys, we appreciate it. Everybody stay tuned. Born2BeRad.com, Dead Pit on Patreon.com, and deadpit.com. Give us the thumbs up.
Up your butt.
Like, subscribe. And if you subscribe, here's something else you can do. Once you subscribe, you can click the bell notification, right? And it'll notify you anytime that Dead Pit puts up new shit.
Or don't. I really don't give a if you do.
I want you to. I want you to.
I don't care.
Let's keep our community growing here on YouTube.
I don't like it. I don't want you to do nothing.
Listen, they need to do that, pal.
No, don't you dare touch it.
Thumbs up. Subscribe. And click that bell.
Hey everyone, it's Oak Early Jaws. We got some great shirts for you. We got Faces of Death Part 2. We got Creepy Stories to Tell in Kentucky. The Colonel Would Approve. We also got DeadPit.com. We got Dead Pit Radio with the little fucking Dead Pit dude on there. We got It Never Ends, a Halloween spoof parody of the new movie. We got It at Night. We got the Rad Pack, Uncle Rad himself. It just gets better and better, so go on and get you some shirts over at Team Public. It just gets better and better, boss.
Thank you to all of our supporters on Patreon. DeadPitOnPatreon.com is the only place to check out a complete archive of the old Dead Pit radio shows all the way back from 2005 on, in addition to the midweek shows and fan commentaries, exclusive podcasts, and much more. Dead Pit on Patreon.com if you're interested. Tiers start at only $1.